The Nerd and Tie podcast is unsurprisingly a part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network. For more podcasts from actual play to true crime to witchcraft, go to nerdandtie.com or join our Discord at nerdandtie.com/discord. Did you know you could sponsor Nerd and Tie? That's right. For just like an amount of money, we'll say something here. Look, you guys don't listen to this part. You can. There's sponsored information on the website. Click on the thing. There's more things. Also, you can contribute to our legal fund by going to gofundme.com/nerdandtie. Just do it. You don't have to. I don't want to make you feel bad about it. I'm just gonna. Oh my God! Take it away, Celeste.
On this month's edition of Nerd and Tie, Star Trek Strange New Worlds finished the first year of its journey. We talk about Ms. Marvel and the nonsense that came with that. We look at Stranger Things 4 now that that's finished. Netflix is doing Death Note again. Trigun is returning. And we celebrate 9 years of Nerd and Tie. All this in a magnificent mailbag.
Yay.
That was really bad.
We're really good at starting out podcasts, guys. We've been doing this for 9 years.
9 years. We're professionals.
I mean, like, I could have done the Robert Evans and just made, like, random noises. That's a... Ah! No, I'm not. That is not the anarchist podcaster you're listening to. Hello, welcome again to Nerd and Tie. I am incredibly terrible at words for someone who specializes in panels and YouTubing. I'm Celeste, and joining me, making fun of me as always, is my good friend Trigun.
I'm sorry, I haven't had the emotional energy to make fun of you because I'm already being me myself. I don't know if you heard what I did just a few moments before that. I am lucky I made it through the network tag.
and less dangerous but silently judging us both is Genproc.
More like I have to like keep pushing the mic away because I keep laughing too much.
Because I do that so for behind the scenes glimpse. So most of our shows, the network tag is pre-recorded. Like, you listen to Stormwood and Associates, that network tag is pre-recorded. You listen to BS Free Witchcraft, that network tag is pre-recorded. This one, I just say it at the beginning of the recording.
It's live every time.
We treat this show, because for a period of time we did this show live over a live stream, and we haven't done that for a long time, but that's our production still is set up to take it like it's a live thing with no post-production. Like, this episode will go out on the internet like within 10 minutes of us finishing recording it.
Raw and uncut.
But that also meant that just like I got to the sponsor message this episode, and we have done second takes in the past, but I just feel like a second take is just not allowed this time. We have to live with our mistakes. We have to we will deal with it and live our
persevere.
lives.
I live with my mistakes the same way I do every day, by getting up and living with them, which is also, how I deal with, like, a lot of other
also
mistakes.
How you deal with your metaphors today. Slow your roll.
I am very bad at this.
Speaking about dealing with mistakes, a character who's great at dealing with mistakes is Kamala Khan.
Yeah, so let's talk about something cool. Let's talk about something fun. So Ms. Marvel just finished up its run on Disney Plus.
6 episodes, yep.
6-episode run, yeah. And both I know both Trey and I watched it, so we have opinions. It's out. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy all of it as much as I wanted to, but I've got opinions. How did you feel, Trey?
So I overall really loved it. I think that it is kind of the ideal way to adapt Kamala Khan to the MCU.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this character. You can go back and listen to it because this character premiered in 2014. So
she premiered not around the same time this podcast started.
A little bit after. So I was reading it like as it was coming out, and you can like go back and listen to my thoughts on the character. I think it made a best of 2014 or something like that.
I can reach my trade paperbacks of the Ms. Marvel run from where I'm sitting right now, so I feel ya.
I've got them on my I bought them all digitally, so they're all on my iPad through the now worse version of Comixology. It's the I'm a big fan of this character, and the part of the like a lot of the stuff that was adapting is you know the origins of the character I'm quite familiar with, and so the modifications were obviously necessary. Overall, I really like this series.
I love the changes to the origin.
Yeah,
I really was good with that. I'm also really good with changing the powers a little bit because as several Fantastic Four movies have demonstrated, we still haven't figured out how to make stretchy powers look good yet.
Have you made it till the end of the season yet?
Yeah, and they found a way to make it work.
Yeah, they did. So it's
but like to actually stretch out a human body without the light effect, it still just doesn't look good.
Well,
and I think they made the right decision.
And there's an attempt to tie it into like the cosmic stuff for the like regular Captain Marvel thing, because there's the entire thing, and one of the big challenges of this series is working in how Kamala was going to take the name Ms. Marvel, and I think they did it really well.
That was genius.
Because,
I loved that.
You know, it's in the comics you have this thing where she's just taking a code name that, you know, Carol Danvers used to use, but no one's ever used that code name in the MCU. So it's like it coming from her dad. I don't think that's a major spoiler. Like a comment from her dad is, I think, a great like thing to put there. And like I don't want to spoil too much, but like so my like it's not a perfect season, but I think that the representation of Kamala was perfect.
I loved her. I loved how they played Bruno and Nakia as well. I thought they really nailed those characters.
Absolutely loved it, and I was like it was great because I was so familiar with those characters from the original run. So like it's the only complaint I have is that I wish they had like maybe there is a plot point that feels like it happens within 5 minutes that really should have taken like a whole episode.
Okay, I'm not sure which
involving the villain.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
A change of path for the villain at a certain point, and I feel like and I think that's just really a difficulty with the fact that they only had 6 episodes. Like I just feel like they just needed a little bit more time to build in the character for that decision to feel like less like, oh, okay, I guess that's just fixed now. You know what I mean? Like
there's my reservations with the series. I think it kind of gets a little confused by itself in the middle, especially, and there's this Orientalist trope that it didn't bother me before, but I've heard more I've heard more people from the from like the East Asian world bring this up, and I'm more and more uncomfortable with it. Of there is a character, they're from the Middle East or from Asia, and they have some sort of problem, or they might not even be from the Middle East. Maybe their parents are from the Middle East or Asia. And in order for them to fix that problem, they have to go back to that country. And Shang-Chi did it too, where it's like, oh, he has to go back to China to figure out who he is. And in this it was, oh, she has to go back to Pakistan. And on one hand, I loved the flashback episode, how they dealt with the partitioning. That hit like a hammer and made me cry. But on the other hand, it's just such a tired trope, and I am uncomfortable with it.
So in this case, I think it's really interesting. So I was reading an article that NPR did where they talked to Pakistan, the Pakistani audience about this thing, and actually part of the thing was that they were there's a lot of positive reactions to the representation and discussions about partition, because there's actual like a strong avoidance of action, because it's such a painful thing that Pakistani media has like avoided telling stories about it.
And I'm a little embarrassed to admit most of where I first really understood what happened with the partition was through a frickin' Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, it's
a good Doctor Who episode, but still.
It's a lot of like the Pakistani community has been really receptive. I think the only criticism that I have seen regarding Miss Marvel for that is just that the actor and actress playing Kamal's parents are played by people who are Indian and not Pakistani.
That's a fair criticism.
But like but the same people the same people like who made that criticism were like, so, but we can forgive it because the show's not about them and the actress playing Kamala is so. Is a Pakistani Canadian and she's playing a Pakistani American, and it's pretty much the same experience.
And I don't want to speak for an ethnic group that I'm not part of.
Yeah.
I just it's something that trying to be a better, more attentive, more responsible white person.
I mean, I guess in this case,
listening to my friends who have dealt with these issues, it's a trope that I've become more and more uncomfortable with.
I think,
I kind of wish they would have found a better way of dealing with it. I guess.
I guess I don't really see it as much an issue in this particular case, because remember, not all tropes are bad, and a trope can be bad, a trope can be racist or overdone, but in this particular case, they built in that she inherited the way they're setting up this character, in that her powers are in part inherited, like her connection to the bangle, I guess what we call it, came through her family, and she is it's her parents immigrated, so if you go back even one generation, you're going back to Pakistan. So, she has to go back only because she's going there to talk to, her grandmother.
I get that. I'm not saying that it's inherently bad. I'm saying it can be uncomfortable.
I understand.
And I think there might have been another way to do it.
I guess
I don't know what that would be, but I'm also not. I'm not Pakistani, so I don't feel comfortable saying.
If you look up at the makeup of the writers, that's also my thing. Is that the people who there's a lot of South Asian writers on the show. So,
I mean, yeah, that's true, but I mean,
I feel like, as we're a bunch of white people, and the show was not written by white people, that, I mean, yes, it was, Disney's very, white. I feel like I don't feel comfortable having us level that criticism at it, because it feels a little white savior.
Well, and that's the thing, I don't want to be white savior about it, but I also don't feel I don't know that I don't feel comfortable not acknowledging it at all either, though, because that to me feels that's something that I can afford to do because it doesn't directly affect me, but it's worth considering.
Right. I think that the consensus we're going to come to is that we are going to not speak for the Pakistani community, and we will let them decide whether or not it was a good or a bad thing. And I think that it was good that you brought it up, and that is... Yeah, I think that's where we're going to go with that part.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I just,
okay.
like I said, I think it's worth considering. I'm not going to say it's good or bad. I just want to, yeah.
No. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. But yeah, I mean, we are watching where we step.
Yeah, we gotta... I still really did enjoy. I think it nailed the landing, though. The last episode was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Love the costume. There's ideas from the first episode that pay off beautifully in the sixth episode.
It is technically a spoiler, but an unimportant one to the plot of the series. It is not a. But I am going to spoil this one little thing. Kamala Khan is our first confirmed mutant in the MCU.
Yeah, complete with the Marvel is really getting its use out of that 90s X-Men theme.
I started laughing when because there's this little when they make a reference to it, you get the in the background, and I just started laughing, and Krista was like, "What?" I was like, "They played the X-Men thing," so I had to rewind it and played it for her.
It's the second time a Marvel thing this year has used that little music cue. It's a great song, to be fair.
It is very funny because Kamala Khan's creation in the comics, because you didn't want to make her an Inhuman, and that makes total sense because of Inhumans in the MCU have kind of it's a whole thing, and I can understand why they don't want to because Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. kinda doesn't take place in the mainline MCU because of what happened with the Infinity War stuff timing, because they don't acknowledge the blip, they don't acknowledge the snap, and while the story that they're telling in one of those later seasons is supposed to take place while half the population's gone, because no one told anyone at the television production what the end of how Endgame was going to turn out, and they had to make another season of television. So, because the Netflix shows are MCU canon is the consensus, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can't be to the main MCU after a certain point. But Loki allows that to kind of happen anyways. So, but they did all their Inhuman stuff, and then there's the the Inhumans TV show, which I watched. It had a great cast.
We'll get back to that.
That's the end of the positives. That's the end of the positives. It had a great cast.
We'll be revisiting one of those cast members shortly.
Yes, very true. Who was also in the scene the last time we heard the X-Men theme in an MCU thing.
Yeah, see?
It
all goes back to Anson Mount. It always goes back to him.
So because at the time that Ms. Marvel was introduced in 2014, Fox had all the X-Men rights, right? And obviously Disney hadn't bought Fox yet. So the Marvel Comics was decided that they were going to pretty much try to downplay the mutants, and there was this big drive behind the Inhumans. That's why we ended up with Inhuman stuff in the MCU that they did not stick the landing with, because the whole idea was that they wanted to promote that comics to sell comics, that they could have movies involved with, that they would own the movies. And so there was this big Inhumans event that happened in the comics with all these Inhumans being woken up, with this mass release of Terrigen mists across the earth. And so that's how Kamala Khan got her powers in the comics, because it was part of this big Marvel Comics wide event. And obviously they didn't have to, there's no there is Inhuman stuff in the early issues where she meets other Inhumans and things like that, but as her actual direct origin part of her story, they don't explain what an Inhuman is. It's just oh, soon you got powers.
I'm also gonna be real with y'all. There were two good things that came out of that Marvel-wide push on the Inhumans, and Kamala Khan was one of them.
Yeah, but yeah, it's supposed to. But so
the other was that Jack Kirby that love letter to Jack Kirby Black Bolt book. Yeah. Other than that, you didn't miss anything if you're don't know what we're talking about.
But yeah, so so if they were gonna make her an Inhuman, they'd have to explain to everyone what an Inhuman is, and then you also then oh god, maybe we have to how would we link that into the existing Inhuman stuff that we whether it is in the main universe or as a side universe or whatever, we can't and it brings all these questions. Meanwhile, just don't make her an Inhuman, is the easiest fucking thing to do. So,
and nothing of value is lost.
Yeah, well, because it's not really an important. Even though there is interactions with Inhumans, and she walks the big dog in on one comic cover and things like that. It's not important. Ms. Marvel is the only reason why I ended up learning anything about the Inhumans before the Inhumans TV show premiered.
Yup, same.
Yeah,
honestly, same.
Yeah.
I stand by what I said. You're not missing anything if you weren't there for what we're talking about. It's really not very good.
You should read those early issues of Ms. Marvel because they're great.
Ms. Marvel, excellent. That other Inhuman stuff, not worth your time.
So I will say, if you liked the Ms. Marvel TV series, you will love those comics, and if you loved those comics, you will like the Ms. Marvel TV series.
Yeah, it's very much, if you like one, you're gonna like the other.
Yeah,
They're
it's fantastic, and it's really fun, and it's like they made some modifications to the character, where in 2014 the character was writing Avengers fanfics on forums. In this, she's making fan art and YouTube videos about the Avengers. So it's a nice little, like, similar vein, but works better on a visual medium for something where you can like have stuff on screen and the character talking versus because in a comic you can do words on a page. So it leaned in more towards the strengths of doing it as a television show. So minor changes like that I think are great. And we don't get the full costume until the final episode, but it's
such a good costume.
And they're the subtle ways throughout the season that you build up to why she ends up with, like, because you got to explain the lightning bolt. Like, because on the comic, in the comic, again, the Ms. Marvel identity was a pre-existing thing, but the Carol Danvers has never worn the lightning bolt in this reality.
I know I said it before. The only thing that I thought was very silly in the first episode was Kamala's mom is very worried about the skimpy costumes that girls will wear at AvengerCon. And I had this moment where I'm like, has any superhero in these movies had a skimpy costume other than the Hulk?
I mean, I guess it's skin tight.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
And look, Black Widow has often had things that were zipped down pretty far. That's very skin tight.
Yeah, I guess. Ain't much in the movie? Well, whatever. Yeah, it was like, I just thought that was so, like, that still wouldn't be skimpy, though. That's why I thought it was so odd.
I do love the fact that the reason why everybody knows what happened in those Avengers movies, and it's been an ongoing thing of what do common people know about these really obscure things no one's around for, is because Scott Lang went on a podcast.
God, that was so good.
It is canon. Scott Lang went on, has a podcast and just told everyone what happened.
That's so in character, too.
Which is why Groot is known as, like, Tree to everyone.
That was perfect. I absolutely adored that.
Yeah.
Well,
it is a super fun show.
I haven't watched it, but I am a fan of the Disney theme parks, and I like to keep myself updated on what's going on there. And here's a fun little fact. I did know, I realized, okay, so on the Adventures campus, in the theme parks, they have like quite a few walk around characters of all the various superheroes. And one of the new ones, only out for a limited time during the show run, was Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan. And the interesting thing they did was they put her in her suit.
The full costume.
The full costume. So, and you don't see that costume until the very last episode of the series.
Yeah.
So this costume character was walking around the parks in a costume nobody had seen yet.
I mean, to be fair, it's pretty close to the comics costume.
It is fairly close to the comics costume. I mean, it's got the texturing.
Yeah, it's got
that they like to do nowadays.
It's effectively the MCU detailing.
Yep. But it's just so funny that they had this costume character like in the costume that had not like aired yet.
Yeah.
Like they could have had her like in plain clothes and still be the character.
I have enjoyed the hell out of. I also like it. I didn't grow up with like a lot of money, so I've never really been to theme parks. But theme park YouTubers are one of my favorite things. Again, you and I have like talked about this before.
And I need to share some new people with you.
Okay. But.
Yeah.
I
say watched,
this.
Like Defunctland Park Ride History, Yesterworld.
Yep.
Poseidon Can you tell me something like that? I just started watching some of this person stuff, and I can't remember if I'm getting the name right.
Well, one that's really fun. That's the guy where I got this information from. Is he goes by Disney Dan.
Oh, I've watched some of Disney Dan stuff. I don't regularly watch Disney Dan, but I've seen some.
I'm a regular now. I'm hooked because he focuses on all of the costume characters in the parks.
Oh,
and
cool.
One of his favorite series that he does is Distory, and it's the history of each like mascot character, and he'll go through all the iterations of that like mascot costume over the entire years that it was done in the parks. And some of them are absolutely horrifying.
Because the thing is, I absolutely love theme parks, but I've never been to a Disney park in my life, and so it's like I love like themed things and themed areas, and so it's like, be it like recreations of things at museums or be it theme parks. Like I don't, it's.
Whereas, I think I'm the only one who is. Yeah, I'm the only one of the three of us who has been to a Disney park. I went to Walt Disney World. I think it was in 97. My parents think it was in 98. I have to confirm this because it was during the 25th anniversary.
Okay.
And I know this specifically because we have the photos, and the castle, Cinderella's castle, was dressed up like a giant pink cake.
Awesome.
Cool.
And what's really interesting, and I know we're diverging off topics here, but real quick, there are YouTubers out there who do walk around videos of the parks.
Yeah.
And so I sat down with my dad and we watched one of these walk around videos of Walt Disney World today. Because in the 20 odd years it's been since we've been there, tons of stuff has changed. And so it was really cool to sit down and reminisce with him, like, oh my gosh, do you remember doing that? Oh my gosh, I remember, we went to Epcot and they had the taiko drummers at the Japan pavilion. It was awesome. Oh my gosh, I remember that. So it's just really cool.
I guess the interesting thing that I just wanted to shout out that I think is kind of neat is just how many of those like Disney Plus characters have been walking around the park.
Oh yeah.
And like how surreal it was even seeing like the creator of the Mr. Knight persona of Moon Knight when he found out that a relatively minor Moon Knight alter ego has been a walk around character at Disney.
Yep.
Like
with a huge head.
Like,
and no pockets. Don't give him anything. He cannot put anything in his pockets. They're all sewn shut. The poor guy. But yeah, they really are, as soon as a show or a movie is out, they are making a character, putting it in the park for some amount of time at least, so that it's a meet and greet opportunity, and they're just, chucking them out, especially these superhero ones, because they're way easier to put together.
Yeah.
Because it's just a person in special clothes.
Makes sense.
So
yeah. All right.
Yeah. We should move on, though.
We should move on.
Yeah.
Because we're a half hour into the podcast and we just talked about one topic.
Oh, no!
Well, there's other good things. Speaking of the Inhumans, we love Anson Mount, even if he didn't really get to do much as Black Bolt. We love him even more as Captain Christopher Pike on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which just finished its first season on Paramount Plus.
And, oh my God, this is arguably, so, years ago,
straight bangers.
Years ago, I think I described, like we were talking about how the first season of a Star Trek series, like you never get like how the one thing about the nice thing about these new Paramount Plus series, I think it was CBS All Access at the time, is these have been like the best first seasons of a Star Trek show, and I think that we have now reached yet again the best first season of a Star Trek show.
Bar set way higher.
The bar set
I haven't
is super
finished
high.
it, but every episode I've watched has been a freaking banger.
I've watched the entire season. It's perfect Star Trek. it is. I'm a little curious about how they're going to eventually have to get Nurse Chapel off that ship because she needs to get engaged to that guy who's going to make creepy robots later. But she's got like 2 years before she's got to get engaged. The cast on this show is phenomenal. The writing is good. Like, it's like, I'm not saying that every line in every episode is perfect, but overall it is a solid season of Star Trek. It brings us back to episodic Star Trek, which we haven't had for a long time. It's but it feels like episodic the way that Deep Space Nine was episodic, where there are ongoing story beats, but the conflict is contained within the episode. Obviously, there are parts of Deep Space Nine that are fully serialized, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that sort of thing where, because I really enjoy Discovery and I enjoy Picard, but those are very, I probably enjoy Discovery more than Picard, but I like both those shows a lot, but they're very serialized in their storytelling. They are not, like, episodic. So it means that when they have a lighter moment in those episodes of, like, Discovery or something like that, it sometimes can be a little jarring because you're in the middle of this big situation that's still carrying over. Meanwhile, if you have that moment in an episode of Strange New Worlds, because the conflict for the episode might be over at that point, it feels like you actually feel relief in the comedic scene, and it feels more natural in that context. I think there's a place in Star Trek for both serialized story and for episodic, and I'm glad that we're getting both. And I will tell you,
also hard agree.
I will tell you, the first time I saw that opening theme where we get the latest version variation on the where no one has gone before, like Next Gen, but we still get 5-year mission like original series.
And that theme song that is almost the original theme song, but not quite.
Look,
I really
they gave me the thing that I've been wanting. Like, look, don't get me wrong. I like the Discovery opening. I like the Picard opening. But what I want out of a Star Trek theme song is I want dramatic shots of the big ship flying through space to an orchestral theme and watch it go by. Technically, Lower Decks gave me that, but that is
also Prodigy.
And Prodigy, but those are both animated shows. No, this is the first time we've gotten it back on a live action show. You know what I mean? No, it's actually Prodigy. We don't quite get that. We get the ship flying through metaphoric stuff of, like, the characters on Prodigy.
Yeah, I guess. I'm still counting it. I love its theme song too. It gets stuck in my head sometimes.
But it's getting that on a live action show. It's literal stuff of the starship of the featured starship of the show flying through stuff. Like, that's what I want out of a Star Trek theme, and they give it to me, and I almost like teared up the first time I saw that opening.
This is also probably my favorite redesign of the 1701 Enterprise ever. Like, this might beat out the motion picture Wrath of Khan design for me, and I love that ship.
There are many things, like, obviously, like, the bridge is slightly larger than it used to be, but they kept the layout. And also, like, so there's lots of things that, like, so my brain goes on continuity mode, and I'm going, like, okay, bridge, I can forgive anything on the bridge because canonically bridge modules are replaceable, right? So, like, upgrading changes to the bridge between now and the original series, literally everything on that bridge could have been swapped out at a starbase, like, before Kirk took over. Or,
I empathize with you, but I just don't care about that sort of thing.
And I like engineering. I love the engineering set, although it's like, hey, we've got a volume. We're going to do our big LED screen with the warp reactor. But the warp reactor is still the same shape as the warp reactor on the original series. It's just bigger. You know what I mean? So even though, like, it is... And actually, this is my only problem. My only issue with New Trek has been the need to make the ships more voluminous, like more larger on the inside than they used to appear. That's my only real thing that I mean, like, it's gorgeous and I love the show, and it's definitely, like, this is a fundamentally thing about this show that's wrong. I'm gonna pound and complain about on the internet, but it is a thing that, like, an imperfection for me. You know what I mean? Like, I wish that there wasn't this need to make the inside of this ship that much larger. You see it also with, like, 2009 Star Trek. 2009 Star Trek is worse. when it comes to this stuff. But and also the TARDIS turbolift shafts on Discovery, which still make no physical sense. They make no physical sense, and
so dumb. That was incredibly dumb.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I love Discovery,
so dumb.
but I hate that. I mean, like,
I was actually thinking about those because Eagle Moss had a sale, so
Yeah.
I actually bought like a model of the Discovery and the Enterprise, and I was like, no, where would those turbo lifts even? No, that's stupid.
Yeah, so
Looking at
yeah,
physical model of the ship makes it worse.
I mean, like, it's not that, like, so Star Trek V is, like, you know, kind of famously bad for, like, its unending turbo lift that is but, like, I can deal with these things. I mean, like, I'm also like, wow, Pike's quarters are huge. Kirk took, like, the smallest room on this ship, apparently. It's like little thoughts like that always jump out to me. But overall, it's but I will tell you, like, every time they do something screen accurate to the original series, which they do occasionally, like the Jeffries tube set.
Mm-hmm.
The Jeffries tube set is perfect original series Jeffries tube set.
I'll point out that, like, the set for, like, the inside of the shuttlecraft is like, the layout is very similar to the one from the 60s. It's just that Spock doesn't have to hold up the cardboard set with his foot anymore.
Well, and here's the
which
thing,
is a big improvement.
But also, like, again, like, you know what it is, that my brain doesn't get nitpicky when I see a shuttlecraft, because I'm like, the Enterprise switches out its shuttlecrafts. Like, so, like, they can be literal, like, this is, like, you know, 6 years before the original series. Like, they can just be different shuttlecraft classes. You know what I mean? Like, Next Gen went through, like, in its 7-year run, like, 4 different shuttlecraft classes. Voyager blew them up every other week. It's shuttlecrafts are.
They got plenty. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's
Replicator.
You see a shuttlecraft that looks different than the one you're used to. It's because it's a different one. It's fine. Overall, though, like, the storylines, and the important part of the show is the characters and the stories, and they're phenomenal. Anson Mount's Captain Pike is,
he's my space dad,
and has
my space dad.
Pike's Peak. That hair
Mm-hmm.
is the tallest hair I've ever seen on the captain of a starship, and I am here for it.
We all knew Rebecca Romaine and Ethan Peck were going to be great, but it doesn't change the fact that they're still awesome.
Oh God, it's the whole cast is amazing. You get God, what is the actress playing Nurse Chapel's name?
I love her. I love her so much. She's like third from the top billing, and I can't remember her name.
Jess Bush.
She's so good. And she's adorable.
Oh my God, yeah.
She's really cute. I really like her a lot.
We've got 2 people who are both Majel Barrett.
Yeah, it's great. We finally have them together. The actress playing young Uhura is so freaking
they
good.
are, and they are non-binary.
Really?
Yes.
That makes me like them more. Like,
yeah, it's so, like, all the people who are playing pre-existing characters are great. Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, Jess Bush, Ethan Peck.
Sally loves Ortegas. Ortegas is so cool.
But the new characters, like Ortegas, like Melissa Navia's Erica Ortegas, I love her. It's Christina Chong's Laan Noonien Singh. Like, it's just great.
On paper, Laan doesn't seem like she would be a character that would work. But then, like, in execution, she's excellent. And
I'm gonna butcher,
10 out of 10.
So I do want to say, like, what other, like, Bruce Hark is great as Hemmer. I do want to, like, actually say one other returning character who I didn't mention was Dr. Mbenga, played by Babs. I'm gonna say this probably poorly. His last name Olusen Mokun. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I'm probably not.
He's very charming.
And bringing back Dr. Mbenga was great.
There's a deep pull, and I'm here for it.
And it's a classic character. And I've watched the The Dude Bros get mad that Robert April's black now. But y'all didn't watch the animated series episode that's based off of anyways, so shut up. Like, his one other appearance, he was white. He was animated. You know what?
I was about to say,
Kirk has lips in real life. He doesn't have it in the animation. You don't complain about that.
In terms of the animated series, I know that its canonicity is questionable, but my honest take on the animated series is not unlike my take on Dragon Ball filler. If I think the story is good, I assume it happened. Just in the case of Star Trek, I assume it looked different because one was a cheaply made Filmation cartoon, and I assume those things happened. Kirk just looked like William Shatner when it really happened. So
right? No, it is the animated series is canon. They established that a while ago, officially.
As they goddamn should, because
but anything visual in it is not
in that show.
It's mostly that one episode written by Harlan Ellison.
Okay, hey,
I think he wrote it. Yeah,
DC Fontana wrote one of her best episodes in there. The first Star Trek episode ever to get an Emmy was written by a Native American writer. And
well, I was talking about it's just because there was events from that one episode that were referenced in other pieces of canon, so it became canon.
I think that was a DC Fontana episode.
Oh, was it DC Fontana? What is the one with the Spock goes back in time one?
Maybe, yeah, I think that's DC Fontana.
Oh, it's DC Fontana? Not okay.
I
well,
think she
sorry,
did that
you know,
one.
Harlan Ellison.
Maybe I'm wrong.
The Spock goes back in time animated episode. I'm just googling that. Yesteryear. Yesteryear was written by DC Fontana. You're right. I am sorry. They also got Mark Leonard back for that episode to play Sarek. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, for a long time. I'm sorry. I apologize to DC Fontana for thinking that Yesteryear was written by Harlan Ellison. Ma'am, I am sorry. Please forgive me, Dorothy. Yeah, it's. That was the one episode that was established to be canon no matter what because of a reference to it in later media. And then later they came out and said, "Oh no, it's all canon." And so, yeah, it's.
Including in Star Trek 2009, weirdly enough. Huh? Anyway.
Well, it has to be.
No, I'm just saying that J.J. Abrams accidentally did a deep pull like that is kind of impressive.
Well, it's
I'm not giving him too much credit.
The J.J. Abrams movies were written, they fully admit that they relied on Memory Alpha for a lot of canon information for writing in the backgrounds. They fully, like, if you listen to the commentary, it's like for making sure they were consistent with the stuff that had to be canon. They 100% just because there's the split off point with the Kelvin timelines, the destruction of the Kelvin. Robert R.C. and Alex Kurtzman just pretty much said, "Oh yeah, no, we just pulled up the wiki," and
I mean, if you're gonna
hey, look, I'm a Star Trek fan. I check the wiki because I haven't watched some of this stuff for 25 years or something. It's I haven't rewatched most animated series episodes since I was a child watching reruns of them on Nickelodeon in the 80s.
They weren't on when I was a kid, so I actually didn't get to watch them till I was an adult. And they were on Netflix, so I was like, what the hell? But yeah, no, Strange New Worlds is super good.
It's super good. The finale is a really interesting kind of what-if episode, which I'm...
Yeah, someone spoiled that they kind of did a redux of my favorite TOS episode, and that has me very excited.
Yeah, it's kind of a time travel what-if thing, and it's really good. And I'm not going to spoil it beyond that because there's kind of a central thing throughout the season for Pike's character that, like, well, I mean, if you've seen Discovery, you know that Pike knows his future. Pike knows what's going to happen to him. And if you've seen the original series, you know what happens to Captain Pike.
Which, by the way, that's one other thing I want to say before we move on. That was such a brilliant move, was to have the character diegetically be aware of his frightening fate, so that way it's not just something that we as the audience know,
we, the
but
audience,
having
know,
the character clued in on it as well. That's some great sci-fi drama,
the first introduction of the character to massive audience, because The Cage was an unaired pilot, was The Menagerie, which re-showed The Cage, but it reveals what happens to the first time audiences ever met Christopher Pike was him in the beeping wheelchair, badly disfigured and unable to communicate other than through his, assist aids and things like that. And so it's like, he's, so we know that going into the show, this is what happens to this character. So having the character also be aware that this is going to happen to him makes it, well, first off, it makes it gets rid of the Caprica problem. The reason why I can never watch Caprica is because, and the same reason why I never watched Krypton is that I'm like, every single one of these characters is dead. I know from the beginning of the previous story, like, because I watched Battlestar Galactica, and I know the character of Superman. Everybody's dead. I don't give a crap about what happens on Krypton. I'm sorry. It's gonna blow up.
Did you see the amazing, and I'm saying that tongue firmly pressed against cheek, the amazing way that Caprica tried to throw a curveball at the audience? I can't get over this. This is incredibly funny to me.
No, what is it?
Oh my god. So there's this little boy, and the Adamas are like, that's our son Bill. And we're trying to raise him right. Like, the first time they see him, they even do like the music stinger of A Good Lighter, the song that is like the theme for the Adama family in Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
Then, like, the twist, I don't remember if it was later in season 1 or in season 2, the little kid Bill Adama dies. And it turns out that the Bill Adama who we see in Battlestar Galactica, completely different kid who had the same name.
That's called the writers changed their mind, or if they didn't want to do. That's like Jimmy Olsen on Smallville.
That's so funny to me.
Well, you know what happened with Jimmy Olsen on Smallville, right?
I heard they killed him, didn't they?
They killed him, and then it turns out the real Jimmy Olsen from the comics is his little brother.
That's just as funny.
That the Jimmy Olsen we got to know for all these years on Smallville is actually the older brother of the real Jimmy Olsen from the comics.
Oh my god, that's so funny. So shout out to the writers of Caprica for that astounding decision.
Yeah, no. So, anyways, but that's why, like, so that's always a problem. Like, that's like, I know there are people who really like Caprica, and I know there are people who I get. You know, actually, I should say I know people who really like Caprica. I'm assuming there are people who really liked Krypton. I haven't met one yet. But
Sean, we know Sean Orange is one of those people.
He liked Krypton. I know I thought he liked Caprica. I know that Miles likes Caprica, but or at least watched it. I didn't think that Sean liked Krypton.
Sean Orange is a Krypton defender. I've had this conversation with him.
But here's the thing: is it doesn't matter whether the show is good or not. I can never enjoy it because I know everybody's dead. Like, that's the whole thing, and they're all gonna die. Everything they're doing is for naught. Versus, you don't have that problem on Strange New Worlds because first off, it's episodic. Like, yes, I know long term what's gonna happen in the Federation. I don't know what's gonna happen this episode. Besides the fact that, well, I guess, like, there is an episode. I'm not gonna spoil any thing from. But there's kind of like a very horror they did really interesting, like, real true scary horror stuff with the Gorn this season. And there is a very, like, there's an episode that's very horror, like very, very scary, then characters die. But I was just like, well, I'm 100% certain that this character doesn't die, and this character doesn't die, and this character doesn't die, and this character doesn't die, because I know exactly what they're doing in 6 years. Like, so it's like, I know that Nurse Chapel's gonna be fine. Unless it turns out that this is Nurse Chapel's sister. No, they could do that to us. But, like, it's... like it's like I know that, I know how Christopher Pike dies. I know. Well, not necessarily. Yeah, well, I don't necessarily know how he dies, but I know what happens to the rest of his life. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not stressed about him, but like I'm like, I don't know that guy just showed up this episode. You're fucked, guy. Like, Uhura's gonna be fine.
She'll be fan dancing in like a couple decades. She's fine.
Like in 2 decades, she's gonna be in the desert with some fans. But you, buddy, good luck. Like the overall plots, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's like the one thing though that would have been a curse for a primary character, and is the issues when you do prequels where there's like a bad thing coming up for a character is addressed though then diegetically in the media, and so I think it makes it far more relaxing to watch. I think we should move on to our next topic as we're 50 minutes in.
Let's go.
So Stranger Things, season 4 happened. We've now had both halves of the season. I guess our review is going to be really quick. Way better than season 3. I think the show has picked up the pace and gotten. They found they slipped footing a little bit, but they're back and running at it. I know some people have complained that some of the stuff was too long, but I thought it was necessary and important. And there are people who are trying to justify Will's not being gay because they didn't directly say it. But guys, it's really obvious that Will is supposed to be gay. Will's gay. Will's gay. No, he's not going to come out of the closet. It's the 1980s.
Yeah.
It's I enjoyed the season. There is an amazing scene featuring Kate Bush, which again put her at the charts, and there's an amazing scene featuring Metallica, Master of Puppets, which have pushed it back up to the top of the charts. Thus, because the Duffer Brothers are obsessed with using specific musical pieces in scenes, and they actually pull it off. The only comparable moment I've seen in media recently was in Star Trek Beyond when they effectively used sabotage as a callback to the first movie, but that's not Stranger Things, so we're not going to talk about that. I think that this is the second to last season. They've done a really good job setting up things for the final season. They actually moved the story in a way where you actually could finish a story in season 5, which was an incredible challenge, that they actually have tied together things that maybe didn't appear to be connected before, that they actually threaded connections through all of them with this season. So
good.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was saying that I should try picking it up again because I got bored with season 3 and didn't finish it.
You should finish season 3 only because the end of it is actually a lot better than the beginning of it, but season 4 is much better than season 3 as a whole. Also, if you fall in love with a new character, I'm sorry, because
maybe don't.
It never ends well for them. Just look at the history of the show, because the Duffer Brothers are afraid to kill off the mains, so someone has to die, and justice for Barb. It's
still justice for Barb.
Still justice for Barb. That is Stranger Things. That's my speed run review. It's well acted. It's actually pretty well written. The episodes, don't expect it to be like regular episode lengths. It's the second half of the season is like, if you split the second half of the season up into like regular length episodes, it'd be like 5. But it's 2 episodes. So and it makes sense the way they did it, because that last episode is 2 hours long at least, but it's just because the story is rolling through there, that how do you break that up? So it's
fair.
So the season episode count is low but they've given you what would normally be on a network show 13 episodes worth of television.
Wow.
I'll have to catch up.
They just well, it's sometimes you get a show like Iron Fist on Netflix, and because they're playing with episode length, sometimes you get things where it's like, oh, they should have cut 20 minutes out of this or something and made it like a 44-minute episode. In this, you don't feel like that, but the episode count is shorter to compensate for that. It's just not. It's broken up where the story should break it up, not necessarily where I'm adhering to this amount of time breaks it up. And I know some people are criticizing. Some people think that certain things are too long. I disagree. I think that they are the length that they should be. You can go watch it and tell me what you think. We've got a mailbag for that later in the episode. So yeah, we spent like 20 minutes on Ms. Marvel and like another 20 minutes. We spent like 30 minutes on Ms. Marvel and like 20 minutes on Star Trek. I spent 5 minutes on Stranger Things Season 4, which is arguably the biggest thing we were talking about versus like people actually watching. But that's it. That's what we got. We went from Strange New Worlds to Stranger Things, Strange to Stranger. I feel like we missed that transition, and we could have used it, but we didn't, and shame on you, Celeste, for letting that slide by.
But we're not done talking about the Duffer Brothers.
We're not.
We're not.
What?
And that's why I put this in this specific order. Hey, Celeste, did you hear that Netflix wants to make a live-action Death Note?
Yeah, so it turns out... Netflix still has like the live action rights to Death Note, and they want to try again. And this time with the Duffer Brothers in charge of it.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, it can't go worse.
Okay, I'm going to say something. Real unpopular opinion here. The Netflix Death Note movie had two things that worked really well for it. One was the obvious one, Willem Dafoe. But the thing that I don't think enough people do give it credit for, holy shit, somehow Adam Wingard convinced them to let him do practical effects, not just for Willem Dafoe's Ryuk costume, but for Final Destination style kills, which were super gross and really impressive. And as a horror movie fan, that was really cool. It's too bad that the script, the acting, and everything else didn't hold up. But yeah, it's amazing that they invested so much money into practical effects for what was a really bad movie. I'm curious what the Duffer Brothers would do with the Death Note concept. I'm not writing it off entirely, but oh boy, guys, like there are 3 actually good Japanese live-action Death Note movies. Watch those. The first 2 star the Battle Royale kid. Seriously, they're good.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't care about Death Note, and I have never cared about Death Note.
Yeah, same. I'm in the same boat.
I am aware of Death Note because I have run anime conventions for the last 20 years. So I know what Death Note is.
You've been exposed to the worst parts of it? Dare I say?
I mean, back in the day, we used to have this ongoing joke, convention to convention, about the terrible L cosplayers.
Yeah, it was.
It was a punchline.
Is it an L cosplay, or is this person? Is this an L cosplay, or did this person just not shower?
Right, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
like regular clothes, chuck on a wig hat, you're good. It's an L cosplay.
And then you ask if they're playing Robert Smith.
Oh.
Maybe it'll be good. I don't know. I want to give the Duffer Brothers like the benefit of the doubt, but yeah.
Look, I give them the benefit of the doubt in the sense that like they are capable of making good television, and they are capable, and a lot of, you know, oh god, I just generated some horror stuff on Crayon. I'm not sharing these. Don't try to like get Crayon to replicate Willem Dafoe.
Bad.
No.
Bad.
It's a Dolly Mini thing. It's the Crayon's the new name for the website for it, and I typed in Willem Dafoe and Mr. Spock because I'm using Crayon to generate the thumbnail. That's my new policy. Is I'm never photoshopping another thumbnail again for this show. I am just going to use AI generated. I may just like type in a bunch of the show topics and see what happens when I combine them together.
So if the show headers look a bit more horrifying than they used to, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Very horror.
This is my new policy. But yeah, it's so I mean, I guess like it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad, and I know that's like the least like useful Oh God.
I just don't care about this IP anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, way to
really
strike when
care.
the iron is become cold and rusty.
Yeah. Like, come on. There are so many other, like, animes that you could do that are newer, hotter, fresher, better. Like, come on.
And might transfer to live action better, maybe.
Right? Exactly. But, I mean, we'll see how this one does. I mean, I don't know. I hope it's good for the reputation of the Duffer Brothers, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like one of the first things coming out of their Opposite Ion production. So I typed in Star Trek, Death Note, Stranger Things.
Oh gosh.
Poster, and that's what we're going with. We're going with this.
I'm terrified and excited all at the same time.
Oh boy.
Hey, but speaking of anime IPs that are a little dated,
but getting a reboot.
Yeah. Lot of excitement when randomly just a couple weeks ago a Twitter account opened up, followed shortly by an announcement and then a trailer for Trigun Stampede, the return of the classic anime Trigun. Yeah, I didn't see this coming. I was more surprised because when they made the announcement, the studio that they announced was doing it was the studio that did Beastars and Land of the Lustrous. So
that explains it.
Yeah, I knew going in it was going to be a primarily CG anime.
Mm-hmm.
But with how much it is in the vogue right now of, we have to make everything as manga accurate as possible, I was actually pleasantly shocked that they are not using the manga designs for the characters that they've shown so far.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got brown hair Vash.
To be so in the manga, there is this weird thing where the more Vash uses his angel arm, the more his hair turns from blonde to black.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if they're going to work that part in, since that was a part of the manga that never got touched by the first anime.
Yeah. I mean, it's because there's so much good lore in the manga.
The Trigun manga is amazing.
It's so amazing. There's so many good concepts that just
and it's very out of print right now, which makes me angry.
I really hope that like they bring like all the plant stuff, all the like. Yes.
I'll admit I'm really excited because they did announce a few of the actors for it. And the actor playing Knives Millions, Vash's brother, is actually played the Green Ranger in one of my favorite Sentai shows, Gokaiger. So that's some good casting. The one that I know, again, this is going to be really shocking. But I, of course, lost my mind that Maya Sakamoto, my favorite seiyuu, got cast in this as Rem. And Rem is one of the things that Vash reminisces about was how she used to sing. And of course, Maya Sakamoto is an absolute virtuoso singer. So
that's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
It's very exciting. The trailer we got, I wasn't feeling the animation for the flashback of them on the spaceship. I thought it looked kind of still.
Right now it feels clunky.
But the stuff of like grown up like Red Coat Vash looked really fluid and cool.
Yeah.
So, and it's not coming out till early 2023, so I feel like they have time to to
clean it up, polish it, whatever they want to do, need to do. But yeah, and what is it that I saw that like it was interesting how they kind of changed Knives' name a little bit.
Oh, to Knives Millions instead of Millions Knives? Or Nai. Right, sorry.
Yeah. Because Rem, like you see in the trailer, she calls out to him and she does not call him Knives. So it implies that like later he names himself Knives. Which honestly makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, that's right. Because Maya Sakamoto clearly says Nai. She doesn't say Knives. It's oof. I'm also kind of curious because the tone of the trailer is really somber.
It is. It's not nearly as happy-go-lucky as like the existing anime.
And
which, granted, is like Vash's both of these personalities, like very much so.
He switches from extremely goofy to legitimately tragic on a dime.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see what they do with this because it's such a good.
So excited. Vash the Stampede was like Baby Gen's like first anime husbando.
Fair. Good choice. Honestly, really, like quality choice.
Because I picked up like the first 2 volumes at like my local Borders. And I just like reread those all the time.
There's this scene in the manga that didn't make it into the first anime, and I really hope that it makes it into this adaptation. It's when it's after Vash has lost his robot arm for the first time that we see it happen, and Legato delivers this suitcase to him, and he's from miles away psychically communicating, and he's like, hey, there's these guys, the Gung Ho Guns. Each of them has half of these coins, and they're gonna be coming for you. And then Vash shoots, and from like miles away, misses Legato's face and screams out into the distance
by like centimeters.
Yeah, by like centimeters.
Like,
and he did it on purpose and screams out into the distance, "You're not coming for me. I'm hunting you."
Yep.
I love that scene so much.
And like the whole like him going up against the Gung Ho Guns, it's like, there's so many good parts in that.
And like
there's so many freaking good parts.
No shade at the 90s anime, because the 90s anime is very good for what it is, and the manga wasn't finished at the time.
Yeah.
But there's some ridiculous stuff in the manga. And I would love to see them go to the over-the-top levels that the manga gets to.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, I loved the fight with Dominique the Cyclops.
Oh, that was cool.
Like, there's, like... So, I really hope they bring in Legato and the Gung Ho Guns and...
The Weirdo Squad.
All the weirdos! Yes!
I'm looking forward to seeing redesigns for Meryl and Wolfwood and Millie. Like, I love those 3. I love the whole cast, to be perfectly honest. And I just wanna see my friends on the planet Gunsmoke again. Yeah. I'm really excited.
So we're hopeful about this new adaptation.
Cautiously optimistic.
Exactly. Yes.
And if it's not good, the manga and the 90s anime are still going to be good. So like, we still have those.
We do. But we can move on now.
What a lovely series. So it's been 9 years of doing Nerd and Tie. We've had so much fun, and you know what really brings a Nerd and Tie episode together, if you ask me? Looking in our mailbag.
Oh my god! So we're not gonna like just take a minute and just appreciate.
Oh, I didn't know. Did you wanna take a minute?
I don't know.
Since we were running kind of long.
I don't know. Thought maybe we'd talk about it for just a second.
Let's talk about it.
We've been doing a podcast for 9 years.
Dear God.
That the thing that launched this entire podcast network with far more popular shows on it now.
Yeah,
that is the thing. I am certain that this is our least listened to show across this whole network. I love every single one of you listening to it, but there are way more people listening to the witchcraft shows, and the actual play shows.
We are truly the Aqua Teen Hunger Force of our own Adult Swim.
I mean, it helps that we're on other shows that are more popular than this. Okay, so just be.
Yeah, but it's just so ironic. I kind of love it.
that the entire network is named after this, though. It would be like if Adult Swim was named Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the network,
fair.
and then like because it's like there are so many people on the Nerd and Tie Discord who do not listen to this show, who listen to other shows we make, and they like us, but don't listen to this show.
Yep.
And to all of you people, I'm like, you're not listening, so I could say anything to you right now, and you wouldn't know, because I'm only talking to the people who don't listen to this show. And if you're listening to me say this, you're listening to this show, right? And I love you, and I think you're an amazing person, and you look kicking in those jeans. I said it. Anyways,
don't you forget it.
So I guess, I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge, Celeste, that we've been doing this thing together.
Sorry,
I know Gen didn't come on until 2017. But
trying to be helpful.
Gen didn't come along until 2017. But you and I, Celeste, were sat in that Dickies in Wausau in July of 2013.
The only time I've ever been in a Dickies, incidentally. I've never been there before, and I have not been since.
I like Dickies. I used to have one near my house, and I used to get their delivery through DoorDash, but the franchisee is no longer in existence.
Oh, it's nothing against Dickies. There's not one anywhere near me.
I like their barbecue sauce. At least I did when there was one in my town, and now there isn't. So now I don't have it ever anymore. I assume they still exist as a chain.
I have no idea.
There used to be that one
on Claremont. Yeah.
Aw, dang it! That was really good.
Yeah, it's the for a while they were like an independent barbecue place. After that, for a while, but I think they went out of business when COVID hit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know how well that strip mall's been doing.
Not well. I mean, the liquor store does fine.
Well.
Anyways, not that y'all need to know about Eau Claire, Wisconsin stuff, especially since we started this in the Wausau Dickies, where I was driving through town on my way to the lake, and Celeste was at WasabiCon, and I followed them to Dickies in my car.
Like a weirdo.
So I texting hey, what are you guys doing? We're gonna stop at the con. I said, oh, we're just getting lunch. And then as I was pulling up to the con, they pulled out into the road ahead of me. And I just texted back, oh, I could get some lunch. And I just followed them, and they didn't know I was following them. But it's you see all of your friends in I don't remember if it was a minivan or something, but pull out in front of you, when you're pulling up to say hi to them, and they pull out directly in front of you. It was my least subtle tail job ever. But yeah.
That was a weird that was a real weird weekend. That was at the same convention where their main programming was in a tent.
The main programming was
outside.
In a tent. I love the people who ran that con. I just want to point out, the people who ran that con, I like them as people, but it was a weird,
they're
weird
lovely
year.
People running it. That's just such a surreal experience.
It was a weird year.
And bless them for trying to put on a con in that city, because it's tough.
Yeah, but anyways, so in the Dickies, I sat down and I said to Celeste and another person who you can find their name if you look at legal filings against me and that other person. But we're not opposed. We're on the same. I guess Fur. We can say first name. We can say first name.
Okay.
Fur used to be with the network and has not been for a long time. But it's Gen's done more Nerd and Tie than Fur has at this point. But it was I said to Fern and Celeste, hey, we should do a podcast, and both of them agreed to it, and it's 9 years later, and Celeste is still here, and we've got Gen, and we're doing not just this show, but a whole bunch of other shows that everyone actually listens to those shows.
And you should listen to those shows too, because they're real good and cool.
Yeah, we're making we're making what? I mean, a total of officially in production, there are 12 shows, and I think that half of them update fairly regularly, and the other ones are still in production. They're just on hiatus right now, but yeah, you should listen to all of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so 9 years of this.
9 and to 9 more. Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about some of your favorite moments over the years, or not bring up people we shouldn't?
Well, I've got a secret podcast I've never released that Celeste and I recorded at CooleyCon a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
pre-pandemic,
that was a thing.
Which is, I listened to that because my.
Is it any good?
It's actually pretty funny, but I can't remember what we're talking about. But it's like we're talking about movies that haven't come out yet at that time, that have long since come out.
Oh God!
And it's we're theorizing about like what they're going to be like, and so it's at some point that will get released into the ether as like a bonus episode on this feed. But just like how, like, because last year I didn't want to do the best of the secret podcasts again this summer like we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I released a unreleased secret podcast then.
Heck, I called Eternals the surefire family friendly comedy of the summer, didn't I? I did.
No,
I bet I did. That sounds like me.
I can't remember what it was about. I was like, this is really interesting hearing our thoughts about this board. I think like there's a bunch. I don't know. But eventually we're gonna put that out. We need to record more secret podcasts, though.
Yeah, we do.
We need to get back into the habit of doing that when we go to events. Yeah, no, I've just really enjoyed working with you guys. So
Aww.
It's like I like doing this show.
Well, it is. You're not alone in that.
It's been like 5 years with you again, and it's been 9 years with you, Celeste. And
yeah.
And next year,
anyone who can put up with me for that long.
Next year, the show turns 10 years old, and none of us can pretend to be young anymore.
I gave up on that a while ago.
I mean, we recorded the first season of The Meat Grinder at my 40th birthday party, so.
Yeah.
Hashtag Celeste is a cosplay MILF.
All right, now we can go to the mailbag.
I ruined it. I did it again. I did the only thing I ever do. I ruined it.
How dare you?
Okay.
It's that mail.
I ruined it again.
All right. We love you, Celeste. All right. We have one item here in the mailbag. It's Zach has sent us. Zach the Bucket Man has sent us yet another quiz. It's subject to my final quiz at time of typing, so I don't think he's going to send it. But which means I might have to start coming up with quizzes because I really enjoy doing this at the end of shows. This is pretty great. So. This is my final quiz at time of typing. Hello, fellow unconventional conventionalists. Here is the last quiz that I have in the can. It may be very difficult depending on your music and literary tastes. Before giving you the premise, I must again disclose that I did not write this originally. I'm simply acting as a pass-through for something I enjoyed. Anyway, here is the premise. You are to guess if the name given is the name of a novel in the James Bond extended universe, the name of a novel in the Tom Clancy extended universe, or a song in the AC/DC catalog.
Okay, notice the words extended universe.
Oh my God.
I mean, you could have just said James Bond canon or Tom Clancy canon.
No. These are extended universe books. We're getting wild out here.
Hey, I'm excited for Daniel Craig and James Bond into the Bond no, that wouldn't work. That really wouldn't work after his last one. Spoilers.
Well, it's like,
you mean Jason Bond in the Bond Identity?
Well, so like there's some of these like I'm not going to spoil which one of these this is, but like one of these is the title of a James Bond novel that wasn't written by Ian Fleming, but it is an official James Bond novel. So it's like that's what it means. So it's the extended James Bond universe in the sense that it is like it's an official James Bond novel, but it's not an Ian Fleming novel.
From a certain point of view.
I mean, it says James Bond on the title, on the cover. So
yeah, it's just
so it's what we're saying is it doesn't have to be. It's not so like if it's a Bond and Clancy's extended universe just because Clancy's books are just not a single character.
Not to be confused with the Clancy Brown extended universe, which is a completely
All right.
different.
We're gonna start the quiz now. And remember, folks, I'm relying on you, the listener at home, to keep score. I am not paying attention to the points. And I do expect someone to go back over the last 2 episodes and this one and total up the points to see who's ahead between Celeste and Gen. So, are you guys ready? So is it Bond, Clancy, or AC/DC?
Okay,
ready.
Here we go. Let's do this.
Here's the first one. High Time to Kill.
Put me down for Bond.
Put me down also for Bond.
Well, you both get the first one correct.
Yeah.
Which is, I Googled this one just as a check. This is the one I checked, that this is a Bond novel by Raymond Benson that came out in 1999.
Oh.
It's the 4th Bond novel written by Raymond Benson, and including Benson's novelization of Tomorrow Never Dies.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. All right. Number 2. High Wire.
AC/DC.
I'm also going to go AC/DC.
Well, you are both incorrect. That
Yes.
is a Tom Clancy novel.
Yeah.
It's freaking Livewire, isn't it?
All right. Here's your next one. Rising Power.
Tom Clancy. I'm going
James
Clancy
Bond.
on that one.
Well, so you went with James Bond again, and you went with Tom Clancy, Celeste.
Yes.
You are both incorrect. It is AC/DC.
Gosh dang it. Biscuits. Okay.
All right. Coming up next. Red Nemesis.
I'm getting Clancy vibes. Going Clancy.
I'll go Clancy.
You both went Clancy.
Yeah.
You both went wrong. That is James Bond.
Dang it! I need to go with my gut instead of agreeing with you.
All right.
This is terrible.
The next one is Icebreaker.
Clancy.
Bond.
All right, and the answer is, well, I'll give first. To break tension, someone got this one right, and that someone is Celeste. It is James Bond. All right, number 6. Wild Card.
AC/DC.
AC/DC.
AC/DC. Final answer for both of you. You are both incorrect. Wild Card is a Clancy. That's a Clancy. All right, number 7. Breaking Point. Not to be confused with Point Break. Breaking Point.
I'm very bad at this.
We're very bad at this.
Celeste, you're winning.
I know.
Yeah. Clancy?
I'm gonna go with Bond.
All right, someone got this one right. And it is Gen, because that is Clancy.
Oh, we're tied.
We're all tied up, 1-1. What is this, soccer? All right.
No, 2-2.
Did you guys get one right together before? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, either way.
I got the first one right.
Oh.
Yeah, we got the first one right. So
I'm actually keeping track this time.
It's easy when we keep getting them wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. Look. Yeah. All right. All right, number 8. Black Ice.
AC/DC.
Clancy.
Black Ice is AC/DC.
Now Gen's winning.
Gen's winning.
I'm winning. We'll see how long I hold it.
Number 9.
Probably not long.
Shoot to Kill.
I'm going to go Bond on that one.
I'm also going to go Bond.
Well, you also both got it right.
Oh, sweet.
You know, when you both answer the same way, the score is going to stay the same no matter what.
But we like getting them right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Endeavor to be correct. That's also correct to be. All right, number 10, Meltdown.
Never been right about Tom Clancy, but I'm going to say Tom Clancy again.
I say AC/DC.
Well, Gen is correct. It is AC/DC.
Oh.
Number 11, Dead or Alive.
James Bond.
I'm also going to say James Bond. So,
unfortunately, it is Clancy.
Dang.
Damn it.
Final question. First Blood.
John Rambo.
That's not
No.
bad.
No. I'm going to guess Clancy.
I'm also going to guess Clancy.
Well, you're both wrong. It's the third track on AC/DC's Fly on the Wall.
You're an AC/DC fly on the wall.
So's
You all
your
are.
mom.
I mean, that's
I don't have
probably
proof,
not.
I don't have proof of that, but I believe she secretly owns like all the AC/DC albums.
That would be amazing.
So she's got this whole secret life of,
Yeah,
of AC/DC that you don't know about.
That would be especially amazing because it's like my dad is the one with the astounding record collection, so that would really confuse me if my mom has like a Bat Cave style like collection of AC/DC.
See, some of these were tricky, like because Shoot to Kill number 9 is a Bond book, but Shoot to Thrill is an AC/DC song.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yes. I had Eric like glance over these and he's like, oh yeah, some of these are like really similar to some AC/DC songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang it.
Not
Well,
biscuits.
but you knew that it could, like, I think, wasn't First Blood like, is First Blood the movie based on a book?
Yeah.
Right, so of course there's not going to be
Rambo dies in the book.
Well, yeah, it's
I forgot that Rainbow was Clancy.
no,
Rambo wasn't Clancy.
Rambo's not Clancy. That's my point.
Well, okay.
You got that one right, Ken.
Oh. I know like nothing about Clancy.
No, it's
If you asked me about like Rainbow Six, I know that.
no,
Clancy,
but my point is that First Blood by David Morrell is a really famous novel, and so that it obviously couldn't have been the other two options because it shouldn't have been because Tom Clancy wouldn't release a book with the same title as like, you know, it's like releasing a book called The Da Vinci Code.
Which, to be fair, like Dan Brown shouldn't have done anyway because that book sucks.
All right, yeah, I mean that's true, but also I just tried to go to Wikipedia and I got a server side error, so I hope Wikipedia is okay. All right,
no.
all right. Well, that brings us to the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge. The Vomit Hat Steve Challenge is part of the show where I read part of a book, and the challenge to you, the listeners, is to guess what book I'm reading from. If you guess correctly, you get included in the Hall of Awesome. The benefits of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. 1, I put your name on a obscure page on our website somewhere that maybe you'll find. 2, I read your name aloud every episode. And 3, you just have the secret knowledge of the ancients that becomes unlocked in your mind. And you know everything, but you can't tell anyone that you know these things. And so you have to pretend like you don't know the secret of reality, but you will know the secret of reality. It is an unending burden, yet a truth that your life will be all the better for having. All right? Whenever you're ready, here are the current members of the Hall of Awesome. Archimide Zinner, Rina Innocenti, Cheesy McDammy, Chris S3D, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings Man, Core Fan, Capito, Chris Graham, Luisaurus, Paper Godzilla, Cavsy, The Minnesota Librarian, Sean Orange, Keith Shuzuo, Sakura Sunset, Joel Kreisman, Patrick Delahanty, Wonderland Hearts, and Megsy Sass Council. Sorry, Zero, I said your name poorly, but you're not listening right now. You haven't listened since 2017. All right.
Ooh.
Here's your... That's a call-out.
Mm-hmm.
This is the show, man. So here's the line of the current book we've been reading. But when he fell back to sleep, her lovely face floated to the surface of his mind, smiling at him. He had left her behind, transferring off to Yorktown without actually saying goodbye, running, he admitted it, from her beauty and the feeling he had for her. If you know what book that's from, go to nerdandtie.com, click on the contact button on the menu, and fill out the little formy form. It's also at nerdandtie.com/contact. And tell us, or if you have any other thoughts, quizzes, random ideas for reboots of Time Tunnel that you want to pitch to us, we are more than happy to read your thoughts out loud on the show and for the entertainment of everybody, including your mom, if you play her the podcast afterwards.
Yeah. Go watch Time Bandits and tell me how you liked it.
Yeah, Time Bandits. Go watch Time Bandits.
Yeah,
that's way better than Time Tunnel.
I haven't actually seen Time Bandits.
Come to my house. We'll watch Time Bandits.
I haven't seen Time Bandits
I grew up
either.
with it.
I'm realizing.
Oh,
Are we
y'all
all
would love it.
Are we all
It's
going?
on HBO Max right now.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Should do a virtual watch party of Time Bandits.
We should on the
That's
Discord.
A good idea.
Yeah. If you think we should do a virtual watch party of Time Bandits on the Discord, join our Discord at nerdandtie.com/Discord. And tell us to do it. That's
tell us.
Tell us all your thoughts on Time Bandits, 'cause I'm on my way to see it. That's some dishwalla for you.
I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it.
Remember that episode of Charmed where Dishwalla appeared? I do.
I randomly found an album of theirs at a surplus store when I was in high school.
I mean,
so I have an album of theirs.
It's probably the album, that one album they had.
Was it titled after them? Because I think so.
Yeah, it's.
I could go.
They're a one-hit wonder, so it's. I mean.
Oh yeah.
Tell me all your thoughts on God.
Yep.
'Cause I'm on my way to see her. Just straight to the adult contemporary.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. I unironically love that song. I know all the lyrics. All right. I love that song, but it is very of a moment. They were controversial because they use she/her pronouns for God.
Ooh.
And let me tell you, there are lots of people who got mad about that.
I mean, I mostly I just think of Axel Little actually having that conversation with people.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Ben. Tell me all your
thoughts on God, because I'm on my way to see her. Ask her why and who we are.
Hello, Ben.
Oh, get us out of here.
Okay. What a wonderful 9 years. Thank you again for listening to Nerd and Tie. I'm Celeste.
I'm Trey Dorn.
I'm Ken Proc.
And remember to follow us on all of your podcasting apps. Give us those star ratings for those of you who are still listening to make sure that we get some new
another
listeners,
listener?
maybe. Yeah, like another listener. That would be a huge increase for us. I would love that. Be sure to check us out on nerdandtie.com, and of course check out all of our wonderful sister shows that are phenom as well, and have way larger fan bases that you can interact with on our Discord.
This is the show I can manage to sell advertising on sometimes, which is just wacky as heck. Anyways, remember to follow our show on social media. We are at Nerd and Tie on Twitter. I mean, I guess it's the whole network, but these were created to be for just this show originally. So at Nerd and Tie on Twitter, Facebook.com/Nerd and Tie, nerdandtie.tumblr.com. Join our Discord, and you can find an invite at nerdandtie.com/Discord. And yeah, you should hang out with there. And you can support our show financially by, again, contributing to our legal fund at gofundme.com/nerdandtie, by contributing to the show by sponsoring episodes. You can find information on nerdandtie.com and click on the sponsor button. You can support us directly. Celeste has a Patreon. Is it still patreon.com/Nikazumi?
I haven't gotten that fixed yet.
All right,
so,
but it
yeah.
is. And then mine's patreon.com/TRAEGORN. You can support Gen by buying stuff at Ocelot Dude Designs, I guess, or just send Gen money, just like envelopes of cash.
Thank you.
And remember, in your hearts, in your minds, in the places where you dare to go at night, that we'll be there waiting for you, along with time-traveling animated Spock and a very angry DC Fontana.
Yeah, with Dishwalla playing in the background.
Say your
Sweet
catchphrase.
dreams.
We ran out of songs. Say your catchphrase, Celeste.
Keep on Spockin' in the free world.
Good.
Animated Spockin'.
Oh, no. Giant animated Spockin'.
I present
It's
to
canon!
you Spock 2!
It's canon! They acknowledged it in Lower Decks. It's canon. Lower Decks comes back at the end of August. That's the end of the show.